Good day and welcome to this episode of the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast. My name is Ian Cantle and I'm joined by Ken, Paul, Jen, and Dan. Before we start, I wanted to give a little bit of fanfare because today we're celebrating the 50th episode of this fantastic podcast. So everybody raise those hands. There we go. I'll be emceeing today's podcast. The topic we're covering today is the B word. And so I know that could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I'm going to expand on that. In business, a lot of people think the B word is budgets, and it is. But in our context of marketing, we're going to be talking about blogging. And should your business be blogging? So a lot of businesses have heard that blogging is important and that it can help their business in numerous ways and fantastical ways, but not everybody understands what a blog is, why it's important, or how to go about creating a blog. So our panel today will be exploring this topic. So let me jump in with the first question for Ken. Ken, what is a blog?
Yeah, so a blog is literally, it's a subset of your website. And so, one of the easiest ways to think about this now is, you've got web pages and you've got blog posts. Web pages are, they're usually informational, but they're fairly static. They don't change. And once you create a set of web pages to describe the services that you have or your about page, you may or may not on a regular basis continue to create new web pages. Blog posts they have really great features. You can categorize them by topic. You can tag them, which is also another way to kind of make it easier for people to find that content on your website. The general behavior is that you want to blog on a regular basis because it's informational or educational content that's really going to give you an opportunity, in my mind, to help you address the problems that you solve in a deeper or a different way than what you do with your just the traditional web pages that you have. So blogs, you can create as many or as little as you want. There's no real requirement there. I'm sure we'll talk about, some best practices and recommendations on, what you should be doing if you're going to go down the blog path. Not every business, I don't think they need to blog. But, blogging has massive value. And the great thing is somebody is going to be much more likely to link to your website because of content in a blog as opposed to a web page. Nobody's going to want to link to your sales page, but if you've shared information on how to solve a problem, other bloggers, other, website developers and maintainers are going to want to link to that content. And then the other huge value of blogs is the shareability. So blogs typically have widgets that make it super easy for you to share that blog post out across, whatever social channels you want to have it go out to.
Awesome. That's a fantastic explanation and foundation of what a blog is. Jen, what would you say the benefits of a blog are?
Yeah, the benefits of the blog. I've got a bunch of points here I want to go through. So first of all, showcasing your expertise, right? So sometimes it might be very hard for the user of the website, the visitor to the website, to understand that you guys are an expert in a certain area, because sometimes the service pages don't go into certain scenarios or don't have the product or service explained the way that you can take the time to explain it in a blog. Blogs are also really good to establish your point of view. So probably you're in a business that has competitors. And so what is so different about the way that you operate your business or you service the client? So really getting a chance to express the point of view, your differentiation, that can come through the blog. The next one is education. So really educating your potential buyer before they buy. So what do they need to know? What are some mishaps? What are some reasons why they would need this product or service? And really getting a chance to help create a very, very informed buyer. Blogs are also good for producing content for sure, because you can, Some people can blog every day. Typically, we see it about once a week, once every 2 weeks or so. So you're continuously producing content, which makes Google happy. And if, our industry, it changes so fast, but there's so many industries out there that change quickly as well. So making sure that you can keep up on either the trends or the changes, and again, insert your point of view to that. Of course, helps with SEO. It helps. This is a more personal thing, and I think it's very good for business owners as well. It helps you develop your own thinking and your own point of view around the product or service that you're offering. And we find this a lot, that there is some hesitation for business owners or even leaders of larger companies. They obviously know a lot. They obviously have a point of view, but to actually sort of flesh out your thinking and putting it down on paper, as it will. One way you got to do that is you got to write a lot and crystallize your ideas. The last one is where marketing and sales can really come together. So the last one would be a blog can really, really help with sales objections. And what I mean by that is, as your sales folks, come home from a sales presentation or a sales call, you can be asking them, what are some of the objections? What are some of the things you hear all the time about, like, why they're not ready or why they don't want to buy or whatnot? And each of those objections can be a title and a blog entry. And so what's great about that is you're addressing objections that probably more of your potential customers have. And so if they're on your site reviewing, trying to check you out, and they can get some answers or another point of view to an objection that they already have, that's great, because it can clear it before they start moving down and contacting you guys. So there are quite a lot of benefits to the blog, it would seem.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Anybody else have anything to add to that? I thought I heard a big breath coming, but
I was like, yeah, is there a disagreement? Come on.
Oh, I can feel it. I feel it in the air. This is going to be that show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll move on to the next question. Jen, you alluded to this. Ken also alluded to it, but it can help with your search engine optimization. And so this question is for Paul. It's been said that blogs can support your search engine optimization efforts and help you get found online. Why is this, and how can it help?
Well, blogs give you the opportunity to target specific topics. Like I said, Ken and Jen both touched on it. You target keywords, but don't want to get too down in the weeds here, but Google is looking more at topics and content as opposed to specific keywords. So it gives you the opportunity to target specific topics, problems that your business solves. And like Ken alluded to, it creates an opportunity for links, for backlinks, which help your SEO, because people probably aren't going to link to a service page or a sales page, but they will link to something that's educational. How do I do this? How do I solve this problem? It can help with brand mentions, which is something that no one really thinks about. But it also, your expertise, your authority in a certain industry, it helps with that, which a service page is not going to help with. So there are a lot of different ways that it can help. And if done properly with internal linking between blog posts, it helps search engines understand what your business is about, what problems you solve. Those are probably the biggest ones.
Yeah, the statistics on businesses that blog versus businesses that don't, in terms of the number of inbound links that are generated, it's like tenfold or more. It's just crazy. And the more pages you create, the greater opportunity you generally give your business, that opportunity to be found for a whole set of keyword topics, if you will, as Paul kind of talked about. So, the great thing about blogging is I think it gives you the ability to kind of dial in, take a look at your content to keyword gaps. Where are there phrases that you're wanting to rank for that you don't have? That's probably a great opportunity for a blog, and a blog is the natural way to fill that gap, in my opinion.
And it also helps you guide people through the buying cycle, especially if you have a longer buying cycle. If you have a more expensive product, you can use blogs to guide people through that buyer journey with informational content.
Yeah, I think I would. One thing I'd add to that is, and I'm sure I'm not the only person on this call that has experienced this, when you write something like a blog and you're doing it, you're going 500 words, 750 words, 1,000 words, and suddenly it's more and more and more. The thing that we have found in our research is that the more you blog, assuming that it's good, it's relevant, it's entertaining, it's something that is going to probably have a good shelf life for a really long time. And some of you business owners are going to have to reconcile this. You're putting your gut in front of what is Google. Sorry to say, you're putting your own ego and your own gut in front of what Google actually helps your blog be found for. Sorry, that's the truth. And I'm tired of you guys saying 100 words is good enough for a blog or page. That's just you, the science of you putting yourself in front of Google. And it ain't going to work. And you're not going to be found. So knock it off and get living with the 300 word minimum, because that's how you're going to be found. Okay? Dan out.
I love how you got closer to the camera the more emphatic.
I mean, awesome. It's just something that's so ridiculous now. And I'm sorry, the client is not always right. This is where the client is wrong. The client is wrong to think that they are going to just put a couple paragraphs out there and think that this is a good practice. It's not. If you want to be serious about writing and you want to be serious about being seen as an authority, nobody's going to see you as an authority because you put a paragraph or two onto a page or a blog. And the minute you think that, oh, it's too much, that's just you talking. That's not based on science. That's not based on statistics. That's not based on anything but you. And that's where that's got to change. And we can say that till we're blue in the face. And then they can say, well, I don't know why it's not being found. Because you only want to write 2 paragraphs. That's why. So there you go.
How do you really feel about it?
Yeah. It's actually, in my opinion, it's a waste of time if that's all you're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, and the thing is, and this is not me that originally said this. If you read one of our favorite sources, Neil Patel, has done extensive writing on this. And I wouldn't pretend that, when I'm writing for people that it's always a 1,000 word or, 2,000 words or 3,000 words or anything like that. But that is a guy who is a great example of somebody who really puts a lot into his blog posts. And it just comes back over and over and over again as far as the authority. And so I'm not suggesting that every one of your blog posts has to be like Neil's, but there's no question about it. He ranks for certain things for a reason, and he's done a good correlation between the number of words and, as Paul said, some of those keywords and whatnot that I think absolutely correlate to his visibility and credibility.
And if I can just add one more thing before all our listeners leave because they're upset with Dan.
Yeah, bring it.
I'm just kidding. The reason why length of blogs or anything online is important is because Google's trying to, first of all, determine relevance. And if you only use a word or its synonyms like 3 times in a blog or a page, Google just doesn't have enough connectors to tie it to what somebody is searching for, right? You're always going to lose to somebody that has greater, more relevant content. The other thing is that Google also looks at the time visitors spend on the page. And if you only have a paragraph, they might not even read it. They might just skim it or look at your heading and go, and click off to another page. And that won't help you get found online as well. So just a few quick tips of why that happens, right?
Yep.
I support what Dan said, and I'm
just the messenger. I'm just the messenger. I'm not the one who makes the rules.
You are the messenger, but I think that's one thing that nobody tells a business owner is that you have another audience member that you have to cater to, and that is Google. And Google has specific things that they need from you in order to help your content, your website, and all the hard work you're doing online be seen. And when we do TOPAs for clients, it's mind blowing to them if they are sort of not really aware of it. You know, that we've got a website, we do our stuff, we're trying our best. What's going on? Well, you're not speaking to the other audience member that you don't know that you have that can absolutely help you.
And Google's the gateway, right? It's the gateway for getting visitors to actually read your content.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I don't understand.
See, Google.
Uh-oh. Perfect timing.
Paul, did you have something to add?
Off.
What Jen said is true. A lot of times a business owner, they'll think that a couple hundred words, well, I explained it, I said what I had to say, and nobody's going to read a 2,000 word blog post, and that may or may not be true. Mm-hmm. But Google is going to look at that page. They're bots. Okay, here's the thing. Google doesn't have people looking at your blog post. They have bots looking at your blog post. And they are going to crawl that post, and they are going to, the more information you have there, the more it helps Google understand what you're talking about, because it's not a person. It's an algorithm. And I think that's what needs to be understood, because algorithms aren't people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Ken.
Well, that just ties into, the real importance of the structure of your blog post as well. So not only the length, but the key elements of your blog post. You've got to have a title. You should have subheadings. These all tie in and reinforce what that topic is about the blog post as the bots are crawling your content. Humans are very likely to scan blog posts before they read them. I do it. I'm sure we all do it. If you read a blog post that's titled the 7 best ways to be found online, the first thing you're probably going to do is you're probably going to scan and look, and a good blog writer would have 7 points delineated: number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and each one of those are actually subheads that give you an opportunity to have a semantically similar or very closely related keyword phrase that just reinforces that main topic. But for human consumption, we scan, and then we're going to drill in and say, number 3 is the one that I really am looking for. And that's where the dwell time on the site comes into play. And then if you do, like Paul talked about, the internal linking, or looking at the categories of other related blog posts, if you're including that in the structure of your blog, now they're going to go read other additional information. And dwell time is an important criteria for search engine optimization.
And Ken and Dan both touched on that about dwell time, and I don't want to get too deep into analytics here, but dwell time is extremely important, because a lot of people get hung up on bounce rate, but bounce rate in an island tells you nothing. If someone goes to your website because they want your phone number and then they leave, it served its purpose. If they do a search for something and they go to a blog post and they spend 3-4 minutes reading that entire blog post and they leave, Google considers that a bounce, but it served its purpose. It did what you needed it to do. So dwell time is very important.
Yep.
That's awesome. Good points, guys. Dan, next question is for you. How does one go about creating a blog post or a blog itself?
They hire somebody to do it for them. That's this may be where the controversy is going to come in. I'm of the opinion that one should not do their own blogs, and I do not feel that it's a good use of their own time. And And I'm a content person. So yes, I believe you should hire folks like me to do it for you. But here's what I mean is that I think if you are going to hire somebody to do it for you, or with you, should I say, the way we do it is to say, well, we're going to interview you, and we're going to sit down with you, like say once a month, and record you, and we're going to talk about some relevant topics. And I think it's something where, you think about it, in an hour, you could probably get 3 or 4 blogs out of that by having someone take the best of what you've just said, and then going off and writing it, and then coming back and saying, is this okay? I believe that that's probably the best way to do a blog, and to be, if you are committed to doing it. I do not believe for 1 second that anybody should go and sit down and say, well, I spent a guy last month said something like, well, I put a couple hours into it, each day or each week or something like that. And the reality is, I kind of alluded to it today in a post, new business owners, that is not where your greatest value is to your own business. Your business needs you to be doing new business development. Your business needs you to be doing speaking. Your business needs you to be doing high-level client service. It does not need you to be doing blogs. It needs you to hire somebody who is an expert in that, it is their strength to do that for you and to speak in your voice. And dare I say, even sometimes better than you would have sounded most of the time. And that's just the truth. That's what we do for a living. I mean, that's why I think going about hiring somebody to do it is a much smarter way to divide and conquer and delegate. Because otherwise, here's what's going to happen. Either you're going to do it, and it's going to sound like your own industry, and you're going to sound like you're talking to a peer at a cocktail party. And that's not your audience. That's not the people who give you money for your services. You're going to talk like, let's say, I'm not going to pick on this industry too much, but, go on any lawyer blog and read it and tell me how much legalese is in it that would be appreciated by peers, or accounting blogs or things like that. It's not that it's not insightful. It's insightful to the wrong people, and it's insightful to people that are in that world. So if you're blogging towards your strategic partners, I guess that's okay. Yeah. But I'm not going to buy your services if it's over my head. What's it going to be like to work with you? I'm going to need a lawyer to English encyclopedia of how it is to work with you. No, thanks. I'm gone. You're not the only law firm in town. And so I think that's where you have to break it down, and you can't give it to an associate either, or your admin or anybody else like that, and say that that's marketing. The fact is, and I'm going to be blunt here, you're treating that as a hobby. Like, you are treating marketing as a hobby when you are giving it to people, or you're spending an hour here or an hour there on your blog. That's not a commitment. That's just like dabbling. And if you're going to dabble, then as Ken said, maybe you shouldn't do it at all, because you're all in on this or you're not. And if you're going to be all in, be committed to hiring the right person to help you divide and conquer. And I think you'll be so much better off for it.
I'm just waiting. I thought there might have been some controversy there.
It is controversial because some people think I can do it myself. And I said this today, and I pulled no punches. I said, how much longer are you going to put your ego in front of your own business? I mean, that's really what it is. Are you going to put yourself in front of your own business? Because you got to put number one. I'm not saying that you can't be good at blogs, but is that where your business needs you most? I mean, there's somebody else on this call that I could say, well, I guess I could do this. I guess I could do that. But I partner with her because she can do it better than me, and I should not be doing it. Like, she does it better than me, and she's better, she's smarter, she's faster. And if I did it myself instead of her, my business will be worse for it. So I think that's where business owners have to take a good look at, where does it need me most? And who should I bring?
just as a, anecdotal evidence, when we come across clients who we do an audit with them, or we're exploring working together, and we're looking at, what they've done, what they want to do, and the topic of blogs comes up, because we want that one of their main goals is to get found more online. And so what we usually discover is that, or what they claim is that they're good writers. They can write their own blog. They've planted a new flag this year, or a new goal saying, I may not have blogged for 7 years. And you look back on their blog, and yes, the last one was, way back. They had good intentions at the beginning, but then they got busy. And so I think, Dan, your point is really, really valuable, because if the point is to, as part of your marketing strategy, is to gain more business by attracting more people to your blogs and to your website, then you're going to get busier, and then your blog will fall off if you don't have people helping you. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. I mean, it's not to say that you can't be coached on certain things that are very specific, in relation to writing or marketing, for that matter. But I think for the ongoing of what you are really going to be doing to divide and conquer, and we all want to take our businesses beyond a plateau to the next level. This is how it's done. I mean, you gotta delegate, and you gotta hire out. Otherwise, you're going to hit a wall. I mean, that goes for all of us. So, yeah.
Writing blog posts yourself and writing them effectively are two different things. I'm sure anybody can write a blog post, but that doesn't mean you're going to structure it the proper way, because you have to write it with SEO in mind. SEO can't be an afterthought. It has to be built in. And that's the part that a business owner is not going to know how to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be, I will say you have to err on the side of conversation,
Oh, definitely. Even Google tells you write for people.
Yeah. I mean, I have said to many a client, I said, think about yourself, not in terms of this audience that you're going to broadcast to, but rather, I'm having a cup of coffee across the table from you, and explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old, if you have to. Because that's really how I need it sometimes, and I'll appreciate it more that way. Because I don't want to do what you do. I don't want to be a CPA. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to do whatever you do for your profession. I want you to help me with my problem. So I think trying to be seen as this is a fine line, but trying to be seen as the expert and then going over their head can be a pretty steep slope. I mean, you can get there pretty quickly if you try to go too hard in the authority part without being conversational to their world. You have to live in their world and get to know how they talk.
People are going to see you as an authority if you speak to them and they understand how you can solve their problem, not if you use jargon they don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was either you, Paul, or Ken, and this speaks to you all day, is, when you look at SEO and you look at keywords, what are they actually searching for? I mean, like, you would be shocked at the terms that some people put in to look for your business. I have had somebody say, when I've said content, they go, does that mean you do writing? I'm like, yeah, but it just shows you they're not wrong. It just shows you how different, if you step outside of your own skin, what they're saying compared to what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Keywords are kind of an abstract topic in my mind, because when people search for something, they have a need, they have a problem, they're looking for information. And in their mind, they're not thinking about keywords. They're thinking, okay, I have an issue, I have a problem. And that's what they're looking for. Keywords help you create this content in a way that it's found online. Google understands what you're talking about. But when someone searches for a topic, it's found. It shows up online.
Yep.
It's not a linear thing.
Just before we move on to the next question, I want to be mindful of, we're a podcast focused on small businesses, and in that continuum of where they are from startup phase to quite a large small business, right there, one thing we've talked about is outsourcing this particular role. I would say there is still value, especially in the startup phase, when you may have more time than money, that there is value in the business owner actually doing a blog and doing it consistently. It may not be as good as what we can do for them, but it will help them eventually get found. There's a lot of pieces that can go into it to make them get found quicker and better. But I always think there's value because they can share that content with their social channels and other areas. But I'm not opening that up to a big discussion because I want to be mindful and I want to get on to the next question before Dan jumps in there. So, so Ken, what are some of the biggest objections you've heard businesses trying to consistently write a blog, and what would you say to those objections?
Well, usually it's I can do it myself, or but it's almost always money driven. And the reality is, if you're happy having a professional website and you're in a networking organization and you have your referral contacts and they feed you enough opportunity that you don't need to be found online, you don't have to blog. You might need to eventually, but right now you've got those channels dialed in and it's working well for you. Otherwise, if you're trying to be found online, whether it's to show up on Google Maps or whether it's to show up in the organic search results, you better be blogging, because blogging, study after study after study shows that it's the biggest thing that contributes to search engine optimization for a lot of the reasons we've already talked about. So, the other thing I see a lot of business owners do if they're going to be writing their own blogs is they don't write about the right topics. They don't write about the topics that anybody cares about from a search perspective. They write about what they think is cool or fun or interesting to them, as Dan has talked about, and that's just largely a waste of time. Now, sometimes it's okay if they need to share an opinion, or if they need to, you can use a blog as an event calendar, for example. You don't need to have 1,000-word blog post if you're just announcing that you're having an open house and here's why you're having it and here's how you register. You can use your blog perfectly well to do that. The great thing about blogs is they're kind of the Swiss Army knife of your website, in my opinion. If you need to write content for those peers to build a referral network, you can write highly technical, jargonistic content because you're writing it for them, and you can categorize it so that so that it's going to be easier for them to find. But if you're trying to get the consumers or your clients or patients, whatever industry you're in, to find you when they're doing searches for problems that they have, who's the best, what's the best option for whitening my teeth, for example, then you need to write content that's going to be focused to the patient and the consumer who's looking for somebody that can help them whiten their teeth in a way that they're comfortable with. So, it's ultimately cost, but I tell you, I mean, if you're looking at search engine optimization, there's nothing better. Blog content gives you the best content that you can have on your website to share out through social media. And the biggest objection, outside of cost is I can do it myself. And I think we've already talked a lot about that. And it's like, you can. And maybe as Ian, as you talked about, maybe for a whole lot of reasons, maybe you kind of need to in the very beginning, but you need to look to get help as quickly as possible, because the structure of a blog post and the, look, if you're hiring somebody to write a blog post and they're writing a 300-word blog post for you and they're charging you money for that, they are doing you no favors. You need to cut that out right now. Cut it out. Save your money, regroup, and talk to somebody who can seriously have a conversation with you about search engine optimization. It's not just enough to keep slapping new content out there and say, oh, hey, look, I feel good about myself because I have a new blog post out there. That doesn't help.
Yeah, I just want to jump in there on that because you said it was like the Swiss Army knife. If we're going with analogies, your blogs, they're certainly workhorses. I mean, it's working for you 24/7, right? Because it's out there online. People are coming to your website at all kinds of hours that work for them. And, it really is an investment. And that blog does not go up, October 2nd, of a few years ago and just go into the ether. It keeps working for you.
It's and here's the interesting thing. This doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it does. I've found is that some people don't want to write about their own stuff, about their own world. And here's what I mean by that is, I've had a client for 5 years now, 6 years now, and he's in the staffing and recruiting space for technology. He didn't want to talk about your resume. He didn't want to talk about your interviewing process. He didn't want to talk about, sometimes, but not all the time. You know what he wants to talk about? Machine learning, artificial intelligence, any kind of technology, Silicon Valley, trends in the technology industry. Nothing to do necessarily all the time with the particular industry he's in, but rather a different bucket. So my point is that don't feel, and this is a tricky thing because sometimes it's not a straight line to what you do, but is it interesting to the people that you are still going to talk to anyway? And I think the answer is yes. And so you don't always have to necessarily say, well, I do this, therefore I must blog on that. So it sometimes that's true if you have the passion for it. But if it's just not common and it's a cousin kind of topic to what you do, that can work too. I mean, sometimes I ask him, like, what are you reading right now? And it inevitably will be something technology related. And he could go on and on for 10, 15 minutes about that. And that's okay. So don't feel like you can't explore a little bit outside of that industry bubble.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a hotel chain and all you ever do is write about spending the night in your hotel chain, nobody's going to care.
Right.
But if you write about travel and experience and the pleasure and the joy of, the lifestyle of being able to travel and sightsee and things like that, you're going to get people to see your content, and then you're going to position yourself to help stay top of mind so that when they're thinking about where they need to book a hotel, you're going to be on the short list because you're providing them with good, valuable content.
Yeah. I mean, here's the funny thing. People wouldn't realize this. The most well-read blog I've ever done in my life has nothing to do with what I do for a living. It has everything to do with it. It was like 10 years ago, and you remember when they were having the Arab Spring, and they were having different types of uprisings and stuff like that. And I was fascinated by how people were capturing that on social media. Well, I'm in the social media world, and I felt like there was such an interesting thing going on about that. And it was basically about the new kind of journalism that sometimes comes about. That post to this day is the most well-read post of anything that I've done. Now, I didn't plan that. It was just, all right, well, this is a commentary on something that is related to what I do. But it's not necessarily like, let me tell you about blogs or content or stuff. And that's going to happen sometimes. So don't run from that. It allows you to have people who will come to your site. And if your site is built the right way, then they're going to stay there and they're going to explore. So I think there's different ways in that work.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, Paul and I were talking to one of our clients yesterday, and we've got some ridiculous volume of traffic coming in for a blog post that is related to what he does, but it's not him offering the service or his company offering the service. It's focused on solving a problem and answering a question, about, can I touch up a wall myself with just touch-up paint? And it's generating tremendous traffic, people are when not only do they get to that page, they read it and then they stay. So it's like, does that mean he's converting and getting direct leads because somebody read that blog post? Probably not. But if they go and they try to touch up their wall and they screw it up, or they realize that they didn't get the paint matched quite right, who are they going to call?
Yeah.
And I also immediately put some internal links on that post.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that it was written, and this goes back to SEO takes time. That post was written almost 6 months ago.
Wow.
And it's generating more traffic than his home. As a matter of fact, he has 3 blog posts that get more direct traffic from search than his homepage. So
Well,
there
guys,
you go. That's why blogging is important.
Yep.
I want to be mindful of our listeners' time. I had more questions for you, but this has been a fantastic discussion. Before we go, though, I thought each of us could kind of just go around and give our best tip, our blogging tip, to the listeners before we shut down. So, Ken, why don't you start? What's your best blogging tip?
Well, I'm going to do 2. One is very short. One is structure. You've got to structure your blog post. You've got to write like you're a newspaper publisher. People need to be able to consume the information, and people consume it by scanning. So you need to use headlines. You need to use bullet points. Scannability factor is huge. But what I'm going to say is, if you're stuck on ideas for topics, again, I'm going to give you another perfect example. We were having a conversation with a client a couple of days ago, and they're a little bit annoyed because we've got a web chat widget on their website where people are just going in there and they're asking quick questions. Hey, can I do this? Is this the right kind of paint that I could use on, when I'm going to go paint the exterior of my house? But again, that's gold, because they're getting people to say, I've got this problem. I need somebody to help me answer it. And that fuels the content engine, and it gives us something to say, this does fill a gap in this website and what it's trying to be found for, and smooth out that path of the customer journey. So you use stuff like that. It's a little bit of an annoyance that people are asking you questions where they clearly just want a quick, short answer because they're going to go off and do it themselves. But you can turn that to your advantage and then some.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Ken. How about you, Jen?
It would be along the lines of hiring a writer to get these blog posts written for you. And what's so important about that is when a writer is interviewing you, they can draw out things that you may not think are important and actually are very, very important to your audience. So, and I'm going to go with Ken. My second tip is the writer, give it a few sessions, because the writer and yourself, or the writer and your business owner, need to get to the point where there's a little bit of chemistry there, and then the magic can start to happen. So if you do one of these hour-long interviews, you get 4 blog posts, you kind of think, oh, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'd say give it 2 more times, and then see if there's a chemistry there, because even the best writer, it's going to take a few rounds to develop that chemistry so they can really get your voice.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Paul, what about you?
Well, there's a couple things. First, repurpose your content. Definitely.
There we go.
Take your blog content, turn it into a video, put it out on social media. Sometimes you create specific content for specific purposes, but create evergreen content, content that doesn't expire, as it were. And go back to your older blog posts. And this kind of ties in with what Ian was saying. In the beginning, you may write blog posts yourself, and they may not be the best in the world. But you can always go back later and add to them, modify them, update them. And you should do that anyway, because things get outdated over time. Let's say you have a home remodeling client, or you're a home remodeler, and they say you have a kitchen trends for 2018. Well, you might want to, this isn't 2018 anymore. Now, those kind of titles, statistics show, generate traffic, but you should probably go back and update that blog post to make it current and relevant, because it's also going to drop in the rankings if you don't. I guess those are my two biggest tips.
Awesome. What about you, Dan?
I would say to something that Jen just said that's really important is when you're hiring a writer, do not expect that writer to be you. I have no interest in transcribing you. Talk into a phone and upload it to Rev if you want to do that. I don't want to be you. I don't want to have your words spit back. That's not taking advantage of any writer's talent. So if you're going to hire a writer, you have to be open to the fact that they're not going to be exactly like the way you said it. It's probably going to be better because it's going to be something that takes, they can step out of your skin and they can say something in a conversational tone. And I'm not here to write for that client. I'm here to write for that client's audience. And so can you do that? And can you write that on a consistent basis? I'm here to answer that question for you. No, you can't. Okay. You can't do that. I'm not, it's not hypothetical. You can't do that. It took me 25 years to do this. You can't do that right now. So that's where you have to put your business in front of yourself and say, I can do that. But should I? Is that really the best way I can be furthering my business? Maybe I can be furthering my business by hiring somebody who's an expert and can make me sound really good, because my business needs me in 5 other places, and this isn't one of them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do marketing. That's just crazy. But if I can hire somebody to help me and make me look really good on a consistent basis, then what am I doing trying to do this myself? That's not a good use of my time. I need to get busy living. So that's what my advice would be.
Ian,
Awesome.
can I add one more? Because I think it's a
You
big.
sure can, Ken.
So you've got to promote your blog. It's not just enough to write it and let Google do its magic and crawl it and find it and index it and return it for search results. You might need to spend some money boosting it on social media channels. And you certainly should be creating, and I think, Ian, you probably do this. I don't know if all you guys do, but we create a 12-month social media campaign for every blog post. If it's an evergreen piece of content, to keep driving traffic back to read that blog post, because blog posts are, ideally they're going to continue to serve a purpose. It's an investment in your website. So be prepared to spend a little bit of money to get more out of that investment.
Awesome. Thanks, Ken. My tip as well would be, it was talked about a little bit, but if you're struggling with what to write on your blog post, especially at the beginning, if you haven't done this already, frequently asked questions are the low-hanging fruit of blog topics because people are searching for them. The reason that you actually know that they're frequently asked questions is because, as Ken said, they're asking on chat, or when you're on phone calls with prospects or customers, they're actually asking these questions. And so those are like the unmined gold of blog posts that you absolutely should be mining in order to get found. Guys, this has been a fantastic discussion. I hope that for our listeners that you've found that this has demystified the B word, the blogging word for you today, and that you can see why you should seriously consider a blog for your business. We're going to wrap up for the day. Thank you to everyone, and we'll see you next week.